You hate yourself. You feel like no matter what you do, what you achieve, there's just something kind of inherently wrong with you. That you always have to do more, but so much more that feels kind of endless, almost hopelessly impossible to feel like you'll be worthy of receiving tender love and care. Well, this is no accident actually. There's a good reason for that. There are people out there who want you to hate yourself. Have you wondered why people want to tear you down? Well, because they will benefit from your self-hatred in some way. That's why they take every opportunity to make you hate yourself, which makes you open to being exploited. And the worst part of it all? You don't even know it. Why would someone want you to hate yourself? It's all about control. If they can get you to hate yourself, and they can sell you the way to stop torturing yourself. You're so lazy, why can't you work yourself to death? Just like everyone around you. You can barely afford to buy the things that are keeping you alive, so you gotta buckle yourself up by your bootstrap and put in the hard work to earn enough money to not become homeless. Of course the girl next door turned you down. What does a loser like you even bring to the table for a girl like her? You gotta get your shit together or else no one will like you. Corporations will convince you to work deadly hard so they can turn a profit. What's that saying? Boss makes a dollar, I make a dime. That's why I shit on company time. This is so rigged. No one in their right mind would sign up for a pay split this uneven. But you have no power here if you don't feel like your voice will be heard. Speaking up could get you unemployed and on the street so you can form and make your pennies. But you're still unhappy with being able to afford table scraps. And worst of all, getting kinda lonely. You have no one to talk to. Or the people you do have don't understand you. Or worse, they might even hate you. Just listen to what all the advertisements on TV have told you. Buying their crap will get people attracted to you. If you could only make enough money, then you'd be able to buy more things to show off how valuable you are. That you really are an important person who deserves to be respected by everyone around you. You want people to give a damn about you, to care about you. If you do have a partner, thoughts like, am I a bad partner, can consume your mental health. Once you become infected with this train of thought, side effects may include becoming a people pleaser. How else will you prove to your significant other that you're worthy of their love and affection if not by bending over backwards to their every whim? Surely having no backbone and no needs of your own, being the chill boyfriend or the low maintenance girlfriend, will stop them from leaving. You ever been the partner who never asked for anything but dropped everything at a moment's notice when you can tell they're a little off? Because I have. And let me tell you, you're going to be running on empty in no time. And your relationship will be another source of stress if you don't speak up and ask your partner to meet you halfway. Otherwise, your best bet is to just leave. Oh, but finding a new relationship is hard. You're probably pleading through the screen right now. What if every new date thinks, I'm not manly enough, not womanly enough, not thin enough, not big enough, not smart enough, or worst of all, just not that interesting at all. But those are all ways someone else is imagining how you should be instead of looking with their eyes and heart to see you as who you really are. But here's the secret. You're not a figment of someone else's imagination. No, not even your own. That imagination, if taken seriously, are ways they, or yourself, could be imagining how they could manipulate you into who they want you to be, or who they think you should be. But this isn't love, it's coercion, even when you're doing that to yourself. When you aren't swayed by someone trying to play pretend with your identity, you gotta drop all the lying and you gotta just be yourself. But if you could just be yourself, you wouldn't be able to conform to the culture that's keeping you trapped, so it can exploit you. When you're insecure, you'll believe it when people tell you what's wrong with you. And if there's something that's wrong with you, then they can sell you on what's right for you. We live in a capitalist society, sadly. We need money to be able to afford to eat. Good vibes aren't going to buy you a drink of water. In the workplace, individuality is kind of dangerous. I don't know if you've noticed. You have to be bubbly, but not honest when you need to win someone over at all costs. You can't wear your natural hair if it isn't straight. Like, what nonsense is black hair is unprofessional? Like, if you don't change your beliefs to fit your employers, you're at risk of losing your only resource to afford a place with a bed to sleep at night. So you put on a mask that doesn't even fit comfortably on your face just so you'll be able to put food on the table. The mask is so distorted that it hurts when you speak through it. You tell little white lies so your boss can make a quick buck off of you. Worst of all, because all of this has been so normalized, you begin to kind of grow resentful, but not of the mask, but of yourself. But what kind of crazy brainwashing do we have to go through to say, there's something wrong with me because this mask doesn't fit my face, versus, I'm gonna die from wearing this mask that's suffocating me so much. As someone who's been at the edge 3 times already, There's no way living like this is sustainable without some serious repercussions. But the system is working as intended. If you liked yourself, you know what you would do? You would stand up for yourself. Oh, no, 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 no. We can't have that happen. You know how dangerous it would be if you could demand to be properly compensated for the blood, sweat, and tears you put in? To demand to be treated with respect and dignity as a human being? Madness would ensue. If we didn't believe we deserved human decency, a livable wage, we wouldn't be trying to fight for it. If everyone hated themselves, no one would question the rat race. And that's what they want, so those who benefit from it can keep it going on forever. Someone who hates themselves would not speak up about injustice and demand change. But it can also get worse. If you've already been beaten down so much that you've just accepted things as the way they are, how are you supposed to find even a semblance of happiness within this culture? By buying their products, of course. Brands and salespeople need you to hate yourself. Otherwise, how will they be able to convince you to buy whatever they're selling so you can finally be happy? Crummy job? Well, just buy hot new shit that's 100% guaranteed to burn out all your dopamine with no chance of getting your money back. Joy and a sense of purpose not included. Accessories not included. Side effects may include emotional numbness and a sense of hopelessness. That's okay. 1 year from now, you can upgrade to hot new shit number 2. Now even more distractions from how miserable you've become. You'll be able to show off just how cool you are if you keep yourself in the loop and buying hot new products every year. Everyone's going to love you, especially these corporations that are bleeding you dry. It doesn't have to be a physical product for people to sell something to you. Those self-improvement courses, self-help books, well, fine and dandy in their own right. You have to be a bit careful so you don't open the wrong can of worms, or else you'll just fall into the charm of another charismatic swindler. People will want to sell you on a lifestyle, even a mindset, that a person of high value does this or that, and does not do this or that. You gotta wake up at 2:59 a.m. because they expect you to wake up at 3 a.m. when you're on your self-improvement journey. Part of outsmarting your opponent is keeping them on their toes. Eat only water and drink your food. Positive thoughts only, or get the f out of my house, you negative Nancy energy draining vampire, you piece of shit. Now, I'm not trying to call all self-help products baloney or all self-improvement gurus as con artists, but some of them are. Honestly, maybe even most of them are. After all, you're at your most desperate and gullible when you're miserable. Again, just to reiterate, if someone can convince you there's something wrong with you, it opens you up to being sold the answer to the problems they created about you. Oh, your ex left you and refuses to talk to you? You're probably just an avoidant. What's that? You don't know what an avoidant is? Well, for the low price of $69.99 a month, you can get my introductory course on how to get them back. All your relationship problems can be solved by simply giving me your credit card information. What? What do you mean your wife isn't impressed at your 60-night prestige in Call of Duty 117? Well, she's just a narcissist. She's just too selfish to take the time to learn just how insanely elite you are for making top 1 on the leaderboards. Too caught up in her own hubris to see what a great guy you are. But, you know, when people are disappointed in you, you know what gives them? Power. Power over you to win their approval. If your friend, parent, or partner is unhappy with you, what does your self-hatred tell you about you? That you're not good enough. You gotta win them over. You have to prove it to them. Prove them wrong. Because you're right. You do bring something of value to the table. Maybe you'll have thoughts like, am I too ugly without prestigious makeup on? Do I need bigger boobs to attract the right kind of man? Am I not feminine enough for him to commit to? Basically just, how do I change myself so people will like me? That's the disease you develop when you hate yourself. You feel like you're inherently unlikable. So if you could just change yourself until you're unrecognizable, maybe then you could force yourself into becoming someone likable. Never once taking a breather so you could ask yourself, am I becoming someone I'll even want to spend time with? Remember, haunting is a defense mechanism, not a personality trait. You're chopping off the parts of yourself you deem unworthy for your survival, not as an expression of love you feel deep within. If you ever abandon a hobby you loved or some personality quirk just to get someone to like you, doesn't feel good, does it? Judging yourself so harshly just for having fun or being cringe, as people say. Maybe thoughts such as, I just got buff enough, my wife would look forward to sleeping with me. I'm spending hundreds of dollars every month on workout supplements as the dishes are piling up. My arms are getting bigger as I forget her birthday. I look at myself in the mirror, naked, and man, do I look good. But Why doesn't she want to touch me? Something must be wrong with her. Maybe she needs a $350 an hour therapist or something. Or worse, maybe her lack of excitement means I'm just genetically unattractive? That can't be though. I am the pinnacle of a high value man. Oh, what a disgusting word. I hate it. Ugh. I studied all the advice to a T. I just gotta work harder and spend thousands more on self-improvement books, products, and gurus until it fixes my marriage, or until, I don't know, maybe it can fix me because, you know, apparently there's something wrong with me. That's why she doesn't like me or something. But that's a pretty dangerous idea to play with, and it's kind of been instilled into us since we were young that there's just something deeply wrong with us that we gotta fix somehow. There was an old interview with the Dalai Lama about having low self-esteem, and instead of telling the questioner how to improve their self-esteem, he was just confused by the question. He simply told him that in Tibet, there was no such concept that sounded like what this self-esteem thing they were asking him about. So when I was studying sociology for my bachelor's degree, we had a chapter in our social psychology class on how certain cultures didn't understand the very idea of having self-esteem, at least not before the turn of the century. Sadly, I don't remember the name of the book, but if you're watching this video somehow, Professor Morris, feel free to name drop that overpriced but definitely interesting textbook that wasn't overpriced at all in the comments. Hey, thanks. Love you. Okay, so these non-Western individuals only cared about being able to provide and function as a unit, not how they felt about things as an individual, or even themselves for that matter. It wasn't until American movies coded with American values and ideas penetrated the globe that became a part of their culture as well. This is when their newer generations of kids who watched these films were able to adopt the very notion of self-esteem as they aged, which in turn also caused them to be consumed by the same self-image illnesses we Westerners had. How else will L'Oreal sell you on their beauty products? I don't know if it's because I'm a weak little bitch, but their tear-free shampoo still made me cry when I applied it directly to my eyes. Talk about false advertising. The seed of doubt plants itself in our minds when we ask ourselves questions such as, am I working hard enough? Am I smart enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I a bad person? Now, I'm not here to endorse forgetting about your individual wants and needs and your ability to contribute. That would also make you extra easily manipulatable. No. I'm here to help you uproot the societally made mental construct of self-judgment. How? Is it even possible to no longer perceive self-esteem? Can you do this when you've already been engulfed by this frankly American concept? Well, I'm gonna have to get rather anecdotal here. As someone born and raised in America who's been meditating on and off, mostly off, if I'm being honest, for nearly 20 years at this point, with sessions going up to 2 hours in a single sitting, here's what my spiritual practice kind of made clear to me. We have all these ideas of who we should be, but where did they even come from? Usually from someone else, occasionally ourselves too. The key here is to be clear. Judgment is simply a projection of who you think you should be. You have this image in your head of who you should be, but when reality doesn't match up with your imagination, you will believe that standard in your head means you've fallen short. It's all just that, imagination. If you pay closer attention to that imagination in your head instead of the reality of your actual physical experience alive in your body, that's neglect. You're neglecting yourself for a false image or ego, if you want to get fancy with the psychological jargon. Kind of like a kid who's playing pretend, except they've kind of forgotten they're playing pretend. Imagine you're a kid playing house. You're pretending to be a wife. Well, you start acting like a wife. But when your pretend husband tells you your pretend dinner tastes like shit, you might not give a damn because, you know, it's all just pretend. But if you forget, your feelings will get hurt. But it only hurts if you believe it's true. If you remember it's all pretend, then it doesn't really affect you at all. So you have this image in your head that you're supposed to be able to cook a real delicious meal for your totally real and not imaginary husband, and he doesn't like it. If you believe that idea in your head that you should be able to cook a good meal, then you'll hate yourself. But if you don't believe that thought or your ego, then you don't have to feel bad that your husband doesn't like your cooking. Listen, some women can't cook for shit. All right, put down your pitchforks. I'm not being a hater. I'm just calling it as it is. Thankfully, I can cook. So feel free to boy wife me up, ladies and non-binaries. But if your ego says all women should be able to cook, you'll feel bad if you're a woman and you can't cook. Or worse, you'll be that guy that shames women who are at risk of starting a house fire just for trying to toast their bread. But in this day and age of fast food, restaurants, and, guys also being able to cook, having someone else take care of your blind spots doesn't have to be a point of embarrassment. You don't have to feel bad about it. While you can choose to learn better cooking skills, if you don't feel ashamed about it and have no desire to, then where's the self-blame at? Just make use of your resources. Put your ego and time out. Ask for help. It's not a sin to give others the comfort of being there for you. That's what a friend wants to do for you, and it's what your partner should want to do for you. And while this hypothetical sounds all nice and dandy, the real work isn't as easy as I'm making it out to be. And yes, you would be correct if you were wondering if I have any practical advice, or sort of, I guess. I don't have any big scientific evidence on what's effective to counter self-blame. I do have some self-taught, quote-unquote, techniques that I learned throughout the years. Part of it is thanks to both small and big eureka moments in conjunction with my meditation practice. And I guess I had some guidance here and there from other avid meditators. First of all, let me use this example on why self-hate feels so ingrained to us. It only feels natural because it's become a habit. Did you know you're breathing right now? Well, now that I've pointed it out to you, you do. But you're breathing all the time. But you weren't consciously aware of that fact until I pointed it out to you, no? You're doing a lot of subconscious things right now, actually. Breathing is just one of them. Even how to walk is subconscious. You don't have to put any conscious effort into that. Heck, even explaining something as simple and trite as how to walk is pretty difficult because of how second nature it's become for us. Go on, give it a shot and explain to us in the comments, step by step, every minute detail on what muscle and bone you're using, and just tell us, hey guys, this is how you walk. Not so easy now, is it? Just like how you have to learn how to walk, you also have to learn how to berate yourself. And you guess what I'm getting at here? That's right. Hating yourself is another subconscious habit you learn. You don't usually pay attention to your subconscious habits unless someone else points them out to you. So here I am, pointing that out to you. You're being too harsh on yourself. Pay attention to when that happens and let's make a conscious effort to stop all that. It's a bad habit, and a harmful one at that. Alright, here's what I want you to do. Whenever you notice a judgmental thought, let it arise and be on its own without engaging with it. Like when there are background conversations going on at a bustling cafe, you won't know what the actual conversations are about unless you make the intention to listen to that specific conversation. Otherwise, it's just background noise that you simply give no attention to. And that's what you do with judgmental thoughts. Now, when I say give no attention to, I don't mean suppress. Suppression is when you forcefully try to shove it away in your unconscious. But suppressed thoughts simply build up and get louder the more you bury over time until they explode, just like emotions. But we'll leave that for another video. So when I say pay no attention to judgmental thoughts, I simply mean let them be there, but don't be enticed by them. Don't add fuel to the fire. Let it fizzle out naturally on its own, like a cloud that's just showing up at random, and just let it be there, come and go on its own. Nothing it says is real. It's all just mental noise. It only hurts if you believe what it says to be true. And no, none of it is. Literally all just background noise until you believe it has something true or interesting to tell you. Don't believe me? Well, consider this. If I called you a pink elephant, it wouldn't get much of a reaction out of you, would it? No? Why? Because you know it isn't true. So if I called you a terrible person, it would only affect you if you believed it was true. But is something true simply because you believed it? Well, no. Flat earthers believe the earth is flat, and no matter what evidence you present about us being on a sphere, they're not likely to change their minds because they're already dead set on believing it to be true already, even if you present factual evidence on the contrary. Same thing with COVID deniers. Show them the death rates or even let them get infected, they'll be shouting fake news. Being sick to the point you feel death knocking on your door because your fever makes it so you can't breathe. Oh, that's completely normal. That's just what being sick is like. Or the myth of the female organ. Let's dial it back a bit. A thought in your head doesn't have to be true to get you to pay attention. It only has to be interesting. And why you should hate yourself seems interesting enough. But why? Because you believe it's important to not be hated? Or to be liked, or something along those lines. That's why these thoughts are so enticing to pay attention to. If you can reach a point where you don't need, keyword here being need, to be liked and appreciated, those thoughts would just pass right through you. But don't get this confused. Not needing to be liked is different than being able to take in and appreciate kindness. I still want you to care about yourself and be able to pat yourself on the back for a job well done. It's the difference between needing your partner to compliment you and spiraling if they don't, and not needing a compliment but still being flattered if they do. One is needy and destructive, the other is whole on its own and is open to connecting with the people around you. It's a whole other ballpark if you're deflecting compliments. I don't think I need to drag this video on for too much longer. Just know that deflection comes from another place of insecurity where you're suppressing positive emotions instead of accepting them. Hey, maybe hit that like and subscribe button and I'll deep dive into our emotions more in a future video. While this worked for me, it may not work for you. If you know of any other strategies to bring up unwanted thoughts to the surface and be able to process them properly, feel free to let us know in the comments. Okay, before I wrap this video up, first, thanks for sticking with me this long. Second, loving yourself doesn't mean you don't want to change aspects about yourselves. We're not here to be egotistical. We're just here to be genuine, honest, authentic, and to be comfortable being yourself. Disliking a behavior doesn't mean disliking yourself. Those are two completely different things. Let's say you're the type of person to believe they need distance to think whenever there are strong emotions. It doesn't even matter what kind of emotion, and even be the positive kind. Now, if you're not the type of person who needs space when they're experiencing something wonderful and would rather just dive all in, please be open enough to take in another person's perspective here. While I can't speak from personal experience on this one, I can put myself in other people's shoes after listening and getting to know them. And this is my observation when learning about people who logic their way through their feelings. If you're anhedonic, which just means you're not really comfortable feeling your emotions, being sensitive to your emotions makes you sensitive to all emotions. You can't pick and choose which ones. But that means that by lowering your sensitivity to feel, you don't have to feel any uncomfortable emotions, but that also numbs you out from the really pleasant ones too. You want to know the easiest way to numb your emotions? It's by putting your attention elsewhere. And your entire body's pretty sensitive from the neck down. But do you know where you're least likely to feel? That's right, from the neck up. So putting your attention on your mind is the easiest way to avoid how your body feels. That's where your emotions are. Maybe your partner will say you're insensitive to their feelings if you do this because, well, you're more prone to being able to construct a very logical, sensible analysis of what's the problem instead of feeling empathy for how they're feeling. If your partner needs emotional reassurance, you wouldn't be able to do that since you're not in tune with your emotions. You could logically reassure them, which is really the difference between sympathy and empathy, but that's not what they need. It may not make sense to you since your logical deduction makes sense, but emotions aren't about making sense of the situation. If you're really heady, consider this. Put your hand in really cold water. Now, give me an analysis of the sensation. Like, it's cold, it's wet, it's whatever. Now, your analysis of the situation is a logical one. It's full of facts. But when we enter the realm of feelings, there's no right or wrong perspective. You may not like the sensation of cold water, while someone else might, like me for one. But neither of you are right or wrong. Arguing otherwise for a right or wrong way to feel is simply more ego. It's like Goldilocks and Three Bears. You just have to find a bear that's just right for you. And what's right for you might not be right for someone else. In actuality, you're both just having a different reaction to a feeling, which is why someone may lean into a heated argument while someone else may flee. I'm obviously kind of oversimplifying things here, but can you separate your ideas about having your hand in cold water versus the feeling of having your hand in cold water? Because that's how feelings work. You don't process them by analyzing them. You process them by leaning into them and feeling them, not by running away from them so you can start thinking about them. Your partner will feel neglected if you decide to keep your distance to analyze what's wrong, especially what's wrong with them. The mental observation where you're keeping your distance from their emotions, you're also creating space between you and them. You may just need someone willing to sit in the mud with them so you don't feel so alone. So close the gap and connect with your partner. I'm not here to shame anyone, but you fellow deep feelers like I am, show some grace and empathy here. Someone who's numbed out isn't inherently bad or there's nothing broken with them. Lots of successful people are successful because they can hyper-focus on their goal instead of how they're feeling. The only downside is they're bound to be more emotionally neglectful in relationships or, at worst, emotionally abusive. I'm simply here to see the other side as best I can, while anyone feeling defective in the process. Being logical and pragmatic has its advantages. You either develop these traits because they were either naturally very interesting for you, making them easy to delve into, or they were born out of necessity. Of course, if you are in an emotionally chaotic household, being able to create room from your emotions so you can safely navigate your environment mentally is a practical skill to have. It kept you safe. Just because you haven't intentionally developed empathy doesn't make you a dirtbag. Empathy is just another skill, trust me. And like any skill out there, you can make a conscious decision to work on it, only if you want to. Again, this is a shame-free zone. You don't gotta do anything you don't want to. You can have the intention to change without looking down on yourself. You're kind of setting yourself up for failure if you're using shame as a catalyst for growth. You can't shame yourself into loving yourself. You're just gonna make yourself hate yourself more. And if you have to hate yourself to show up for someone else, well, guess what? You're gonna grow resentful, either of them or yourself. Being around the people you're changing yourself for will begin to feel like you're suffocating yourself. You're going to either bottle it in until you explode on them, self-destruct, or vanish without any warning to prevent any of that from happening. If anything, shame stops you from acknowledging your own humanity when it comes to change. Kind of like the theme of this video. You're changing because the world is making you, not because you want to. It's more manipulation instead of authenticity. Oh, drop the act. Let's get real. Part of caring for yourself is doing things because you realize it's important to you. But that means being able to set your pride aside and say, hey, this habit of mine isn't serving me. What changes can I make to live a life I'd be happy with? No self-blame included. That's the difference between negligence and innocence. Negligence is knowing you're doing something wrong and indulging it by ignoring how it's poisoning your life. Innocence is like a child who just doesn't know any better, so you can't really blame them. And can you recognize your own innocence on how all the harmful habits that once served you are now hindering you? Because I don't think you meant to hate yourself or hurt yourself in all these ways. That's what being a conscious human being means. So, are you mentally causing hurt to yourself? Take a second to reflect on that and ask what steps you can take to change that. And you don't have to do this alone. You can ask the people you feel safe with to point them out for you, or a professional if you don't have anyone. Blind spots are called blind spots for a reason. Other people can see what you can't. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. I'm new to all this, so feel free to leave some feedback on how I can edit these better. Alright, thanks for spending time with me, and bye.